In the year 897, Rome was a city of fear, ambition, and betrayal, its streets filled not only with the faithful, but with whispers of corruption and revenge, and in this atmosphere unfolded one of the strangest and most disturbing events in church history, the Cadaver Synod. It all began with Pope Stephen VI, a man consumed by rage and politics, who despised his predecessor, Pope Formosus. Formosus had died months earlier and been buried in the earth, but even death was not enough to protect him from Stephen's wrath. Determined to destroy Formosus's legacy, Stephen gave a shocking order: exhume the corpse. Imagine the horror, as grave diggers unearthed the decaying body, its flesh blackened, its form stiff, its stench overwhelming. This corpse, no longer dignified in rest, was dressed once again in papal robes, the crown forced onto its skull, and it was placed upright on a throne inside the magnificent Lateran Basilica. By torchlight, cardinals, bishops, priests, and citizens gathered, many trembling, unable to believe what they were about to witness. The dead pope, lifeless and grotesque, was to be put on trial. Pope Stephen, filled with fury, stood across from his rival's corpse and began shouting accusations: perjury, corruption, unlawfully claiming the papal throne. But how can a dead man defend himself? A terrified deacon was appointed to speak for the corpse, forced to answer questions for a man who could not breathe, could not speak, could not even move. The crowd sat in stunned silence, some covering their faces, others whispering that a curse had fallen on Rome. Witnesses later swore the basilica felt unnaturally cold that day, as though death itself lingered in the air. The verdict was decided before the trial even began. Formosus was declared guilty. Stephen ordered his papal acts annulled, his holy robes torn away, and in a gruesome humiliation, 3 fingers from his right hand, the very fingers he once used to bless the faithful, were cut off. As gasps echoed through the church, the body was dragged out, stripped of all dignity, paraded through the streets of Rome, and finally hurled into the muddy waters of the Tiber River. But the horror did not end there. The people of Rome, who had watched in disbelief, turned against Stephen. They saw him not as a defender of the church, but as a madman who had mocked the very sanctity of the papacy. Rumors spread that Rome was cursed, that this grotesque act had provoked divine wrath. Within months, Pope Stephen VI was overthrown, thrown into prison, and strangled to death, his body left discarded like the man he had desecrated. The Cadaver Synod was remembered not only as one of the strangest trials in history, but as a terrifying warning of what happens when politics, hatred, and vengeance twist faith into madness. To this day, historians look back in disbelief, asking the same chilling question: how could the city of Rome, the center of Christendom, sink so low as to put a corpse on trial?